Browns Blitz is brought to you by BigPlay.com and Cleveland Sports Talk. Now here are your hosts, Rod Bloom and Sam Maddie.
And welcome to the Browns Blitz podcast with your hosts, Sam Maddie and Rod Bloom. Today is Wednesday, March 13th. 2019. Thanks for joining in and listening to us, guys. A little craziness happened yesterday, as we all know, in Cleveland. We had our original show as scheduled, recorded yesterday, and then 3 minutes later, the news broke about Odell Beckham Jr., and everything that we had talked about on our podcast was irrelevant. So we had decided to record again for you all today and get an updated reaction and everybody's thoughts. And we're going to we've got quite a few Twitter questions tonight. So looking for a good show, but sorry that we are a day late. You can thank Odell Beckham. Rod, how you doing, my man?
Hey, pretty good, Sam. How you doing?
Doing okay. It's just been a crazy, not even 24 hours of Browns mania.
It's been nuts. It really has.
How was it, where you live down there in Dayton?
Well, I mean, everybody wants to talk to me about the Browns. Let's put it that way. Even all the Bengals fans, everybody's either texting me, tagging me on Facebook. Just everybody's wanting to know what I think, and I don't know if some people are just telling me they're kind of pulling for the Browns this year now. They really are. I think there's a lot of excitement even from people who aren't Browns fans. They want to see. I think they want to see this team do well, even if they're rooting for another team.
Yeah, it's definitely super exciting. Did you see a lot more people wearing Browns gear than normal today?
Not where I live and work, and no, I can't say that. I mean, I work in Cincinnati, so it's still Bengals territory.
Yeah,
but definitely a lot of Browns talk going on though.
Yeah, in Louisville there was definitely a lot of talk. I didn't see a lot of people wearing it. I was representing today, but definitely hearing everybody in Cleveland was representing, and so happy to hear that everybody's excited. So
definitely.
let's kind of break down the trade a little bit, Rod. I know there was molded the Olivia Vernon trade in with the Odell trade, so to speak, by eliminating swapping of those mid-round picks. So as far as the trade went, it was Odell Beckham for Jabril Peppers, the 17th overall pick, and the 95th pick, which would have been our second third-round pick from the Patriots from Danny Shelton. And then, like I was saying, they completely eliminated the swap with those mid-round picks for the 4th and the 5th that we had got originally with the Olivia Vernon and Kevin Zeitler trade. So pretty much straight up, it was OBJ and Olivia Vernon for Zeitler, Peppers, 17 and 95. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts have kind of changed over the past, we'll say 24 hours now, because I think we're past the 24-hour mark on the trade. I think, I was pretty vocal. I really wasn't in favor of trading for OBJ because I just didn't think that receiver was a top priority for the team. I kind of liked what the Browns had, and I was pretty happy with Perryman coming back, and thinking that Perryman and Higgins would be here, and thought that maybe the Browns would add a couple guys to compete in the draft. So just the idea of him coming and having another big spot in the payroll, I didn't really like the trade. So when it came out, just not even looking at the compensation, I really didn't like it. Okay. And that's what I tweeted out is I'm not in favor of the trade, but I support it 100%. I'm a Browns fan. This is my team, and I'm going to continue to support it. Well, I kind of took a beating on Twitter last night. So
yeah, I saw.
Yeah. So, okay. I thought about this a long time because I support John Dorsey. I've supported every move he's made. So I really wanted to understand kind of why he thought this why he thought this was a good move. So I really thought about it all night, and I wrote an article about it today, kind of with my thoughts, kind of getting from where I was before the trade to where I was when the trade happened to kind of where I am right now. And I've just kind of some things have come to light for me that kind of at least helps me with making sense of the trade. And first of all, I know the Browns are going to restructure OBJ's contract, and I'm not sure what that's going to look like. But looking at his contract right now, if it's anything like his contract right now, he's got guaranteed money now, and then there's no guaranteed money, and I think he makes like $15 million a year for the next 4 years after the season. So it's a pretty team friendly contract, and to me, $15 million a year is not bad money for him. We'll see what happens after the restructuring, but there's several other things. First of all, the Jabril Peppers, I really think they included Jabril Peppers in this deal. First of all, the Giants wanted him, but I'm like, why'd we give up Jabril Peppers? We really don't have a replacement for him. I don't think Derek Kindred is the guy they have in mind to just step back in and be the starter at strong safety. You have to feel on this team that they probably have some other plans. I'm not sure what they are yet. But Jabril Peppers was drafted the same year as Myles Garrett and David Njoku, and these guys are all going to come due at the same time as far as needing new contracts. We've seen what money these guys are getting, and we know that Myles, they're going to do whatever they can to keep Myles.
Right.
So chances are Peppers wasn't going to be around. This is a guy who, to me, played great last season. I think he's on the rise. I think he would have had a big deal coming to him and at the end of his rookie deal. So I think they're trying to stagger some deals. They're being realistic that they're going to keep Myles, they're going to keep Baker, and some other guys are going to come and go. So I think it made sense to include Peppers in the deal. Beyond that, they essentially gave up Danny Shelton, and I hated to see the 17th pick go, but I know the reality. We weren't going to get OBJ for less than a first rounder. Right. And a long time ago, it was going to be for, or not even that long ago, it sounded like it was going to take 2 or 3 first rounders. So all in all, the package is not that bad to get him. There's a lot of positive things about the guy. And to me, as long as he comes here, plays as a team guy, isn't about himself and the number of targets he gets, and just comes here to win, I think this thing can work out beautifully.
Yeah, I'm with you, in regards to the 17th pick, just because of how deep this draft in the first round is going to be loaded with defense being one of the areas that we needed to improve on. It almost guaranteed that we were going to have an immediate impact player to plug into our defense, either at the linebacker, cornerback, or defensive line. So I understand and I sympathize with you on that. But at the end of the day, I feel like we upgraded on defensive end, and we're now shopping Ogba, and then we have a true number one in OBJ, which you talked a little about, hoping he doesn't bring a lot of baggage. With his interview today and his comment that he made, it's a new start for him. He's excited. He's got Jarvis Landry there as a teammate and somebody that he really gets along with and looks up to, and but the both of them being in LSU, so I think overall it's going to end up being good. Something that I just noticed, there's a guy on Twitter named David Schmidt, and he made the comment that he was also not happy about the deal, Rod, so you weren't alone, and he thinks that the Browns gave up too much for a player that he doesn't think makes Baker any better. What are your thoughts on that?
We'll have to see. I think there's different thoughts. There's the thought which I kind of have that Baker spreads the ball around, that you need guys who can separate and get open, and then there's this this outcry on Twitter all the time that we need a number one, we need a number one, we need a number one, and that we don't have a number one on the team, and that's what we need. Well, we got a number one, so we'll find out how much of an impact that makes. And we know that OBJ is one of the top receivers in the entire league. We'll see how his numbers work out because Baker does spread the ball around. He's going to go to him a lot because he's such a great receiver. But is he going to have 1,500 yards receiving and 15 touchdowns? I don't know if that's going to happen on this team. Just like Jarvis Landry's numbers dropped off a bit because he's spreading the ball around. Right. So we'll see. You don't know what the relationship's going to be, and we know in the end that it's really just about moving the offense and about the offense scoring and winning football games, and that's the ultimate goal. But is everybody going to be happy if that's what happens and if individual stats are not achieved?
Right. All right. Well, that was, again, that we experienced it, and we were both in shock and got to experience that together. I didn't really know what to think. Neither did you. And yeah. I don't know if we were more kind of distracted that we knew that we were going to have to re-record our podcast.
that was the first thought. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm with you, and I think Rod and I can both agree that, we are Browns fans, and whether we thought the deal was good or not, it is what it is, and we stand behind John Dorsey, and we want the Browns to win in whatever way that has to take place. We're behind it. So
that's right.
On to the next thing. Let's talk about some free agents that the free agents that the Browns have signed thus far. Rod, up to this point, I haven't heard that we've actually signed Sheldon Richardson. Can you update me on that? Am I correct?
I don't know if that's come out or not. I saw several of the tweets by the Browns that different signings were official. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I can't remember which ones I saw and which ones.
I don't think Sheldon Richardson's one has been official yet, to be honest, and that's kind of cool. That's kind of weird to think about. I'm hoping that it's just money. But I think that's that's the first signing that we had, and that definitely fills a hole for us on that defensive line. And I really think that Sheldon Richardson is a huge impact player in our run stop defense. So I really hope to see that official signing come through soon. We had Brashad Perriman. That was the second one that we did. He ended up backing out of that deal. John Dorsey and Drew Rosenhaus actually got together, and Drew Rosenhaus asked John Dorsey if it was okay for him to back out on their verbal agreement. It was for a 1-year, $4 million deal, which I think was an absolute steal, and I'm pretty sure that you would agree.
Yeah.
He just didn't have any market. How are you going to have a huge market for 16 total receptions on the year? So I definitely feel like that deal favored us. Unfortunately, Brashad Perriman will not be coming back to Cleveland as a member of the Browns. Instead, he will be signing the same deal, that 1-year, $4 million deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, good for him. Thanks for what you did, Brashad, in Cleveland, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, I think it's a little disappointing not to have him back. He would have added some valuable depth, but I definitely think, or I definitely can understand why he backed out and why he wants to play someplace else. It was a good deal for the Browns, and I really like the position that put them in, assuming that they didn't make the big trade. So right. I understand exactly the way things went down, and I don't fault him at all for backing out.
I was excited that we were just going to have that chemistry back. We had already tendered Higgins, and we're going to be bringing back Callaway and Landry and Njoku. So I thought that it was awesome that we were going to be able to keep the chemistry of them playing together for a couple games and not have to worry about that, and keep it somewhat continuous with Baker Mayfield. So, but on to bigger and better things for us, obviously, in OBJ. And again, like we said, best wishes to Brashad Perriman in his time in Tampa Bay. Another guy that we brought on this afternoon that I wasn't too familiar with until I did some research, and it's the former Chiefs tight end Demetrius Harris. Do you know anything about him, Rod?
I'm not going to say I know a ton about him, but I had heard good things about him, that he had pretty much kind of stuck behind Travis Kelce and just kind of really couldn't get the chance probably that he deserves. And I know that he performed very well when Kelce had been injured. But I can't say I ever sat down and watched a lot of him or really looked at his numbers. But I know he's a solid guy in the red zone, and he can get the blocking done too. So I'm excited. I think this is the kind of guy they wanted to add to be that, whatever you want to call it, second tight end, because he's not going to take playing time from David Njoku. I think it's a matter of they're going to try to get both of these guys out there on the field.
Right. And he's a big guy. According to what I'm looking at, he's a 6'7", 230-pound tight end. He used to play basketball. I'm not seeing exactly where he went to school. He participated in 71 games, including 33 starts. He had 57 receptions for 605 yards and 6 touchdowns. What I have heard is that he does spread out the field. He's a seam guy, and so he will definitely be somewhat of a distraction on a 2 tight end set, and especially a threat in the end zone. So, that's another weapon for us for Baker. So I'm not going to complain about that. And then especially with us getting rid of Darren Fells, releasing him earlier in the week. So I don't think either one of us will complain about that.
Not at all. Yeah, I'm excited, and I think Baker needed another receiver too, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Some other news: there was a linebacker. We re-signed Ray Richardson. Is that his name?
Ray Armstrong.
Ray Armstrong. Forgive me. And so we re-signed him for some depth at the linebacker position. I still think that we're definitely weak in that area. So obviously this is good. He's been with the team, so to bring a guy back that knows the system and knows our organization is always good. There was another linebacker that we signed. His name was Adarius Taylor. I had never heard of him before. Had you, Rod?
I had not. I think just from what I saw and heard about him, I think people like him as a depth guy.
Gotcha.
So if Dorsey thinks he has some ability and wants to bring him in, then sounds good to me.
Yeah. Just so we're not completely spilling out our guts on our wish list of what we hope the Browns continue to bring in either free agency or the draft. If you could bring in one more person, let's just say from free agency, Rod, what position and who would that be?
Oh, well, I think it. I think it would probably either be. Well, it would definitely be a defensive guy. So I think we're looking at probably one of the linebackers like KJ Wright, or I know Eric Berry's out there. I can't really just say one guy, and it'd be one of those guys, or even one of the corners that are still out there, like Darby. I'd probably be good with any one of those 3 guys, and then trying to hit the other 2 spots in the draft.
Gotcha. For me, Rod, it would definitely be place kicker. I want somebody to compete with Greg Joseph for that spot. Gostkowski, if you hear me, I want you to be a member of the Cleveland Browns so bad. It would completely just make and put the cherry on top of what has been such a successful free agency period for us thus far for the Browns. So I really hope, John Dorsey, if you happen to hear the Browns Blitz podcast, please sign Gostkowski to the Browns.
Shout out to John Dorsey.
Shout out to John Dorsey. Let's talk about some effects from other signings or maybe lost players in the AFC North quickly, and then we'll grab and try to tackle all of our Twitter questions so we make sure that we answer our fans' questions. The Ravens, thus far, they have lost 4 starters on their defense, Rod. 4 out of that, off of that number 1 defense for 2018. Starting
Terrible.
off, C.J. Mosley, Zadarius Smith, Terrell Suggs, Eric Weddle. They did sign Earl Thomas, and they brought in Mark Ingram as well for running back, but they also lost John Brown as well to the Bills wide receiver. So it's crazy to me because, you've got John Harbaugh on a hot seat last year. You bring him back in for a couple more years and a new deal, but then you expect him to be successful with a torn apart defense. What are your thoughts on that?
You know who they miss the most in Baltimore right now?
Who's that?
Ozzie Newsome.
Oz.
I don't know if they have any direction whatsoever on that team right now.
Just seems like yes.
Yeah, I mean, what are they? I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I was joking on Twitter about them running the wishbone with Mark Ingram and Lamar Jackson. And I guess they need somebody else. I don't know who else they have left at running back. Maybe they'll draft a running back.
Who knows?
Yeah,
who knows?
But yeah, we're not gonna shed any tears for the Ravens.
Nope.
That just makes the path in the north a little bit easier.
Right. Let's move on to the Steelers. They lost Le'Veon Bell to the Jets, Antonio Brown to the Oakland Raiders, Jesse James to the Lions, and they made a trade earlier, I believe it was the end of last week, for Marcus Gilbert, one of their starting offensive linemen, to the Cardinals for a 6th-round pick. So, again, as everybody knows, what are the Steelers doing? Why are they giving so much control and listening to what Big Ben wants? I understand he's a captain and he's a leader in that team, but God, it just sounds like it's just such a shit show there. So, what are your thoughts on the Steelers and their continuing woes?
How many more seasons is Ben going to play?
I don't know.
They're letting him run the show. It's kind of like they're going to let him grind things into the ground before he leaves. It's really been an amazing demise to watch. Right. And obviously, we're not Steelers fans. We've all watched the Browns get their butts kicked time after time by the Steelers. So we're gonna love it when it gets to the point that the Browns can be dominant over the Steelers. So it's obviously a good thing, but it's a head scratcher just trying to figure out what is going on there and what's the future of Ben, what's the future of Mike Tomlin, and what are they doing? I just don't know.
I know that they're supposed to, if they don't restructure a deal for Ben by Friday, he gets a $5 million bonus. So I know that they're trying to redo his deal so that $5 million is built into his new contract. But like you said, how much longer is he going to play? That's the real question. Is Mike Tomlin on a hot seat if they don't do well after losing all these key players? How will Juju Smith-Schuster and James Conner step up in the absence of those key guys? I don't really feel like running back will be much of an issue. But then at the end of last year, James Conner kind of fell off a little bit due to injury and everything else. So it's what was going on in Steeler Nation, I don't know, but I don't really care because Browns are rising to the top. So
yeah, and I mean I'm sure we talked about this before, but I'm not going to write Steelers off. They have a way of finding a way to bounce back. Typically, if you look at their records over the past 500 years, they have one bad year and then they're right back up there again. So until they actually are a bad team, I'm not going to count on them being a bad team.
Right.
But things definitely do not look like they're going well for the Steelers right now.
Right. And then let's talk to the bottom feeders in the AFC North. Cincinnati fans will love me for that. The Bengals, gosh, way to just stay and do nothing with your team during free agency. Bobby Hart, he's a name that comes to mind. I've seen a lot of Bobby Hart jokes. Rod, you seen a lot of Bobby Hart jokes?
I have heard a lot, and I kind of feel like I want to call him Bobby Joe Hart.
Okay, whatever.
Let's go with Bobby Joe Hart.
Bobby Joe Hart.
I don't know, it just sounds better. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I work with a lot of Cincinnati people. I hear Cincinnati radio, and everybody down here is making the same jokes that everybody is nationally. Everybody can't believe that signing to pay him $21 million over 3 years when he was the the number 30 rated right tackle in the NFL last year.
That's bad.
It's like, wow, that's your big signing. You guys know that really was not a big signing, right? And other than that, they've, I think, signed a couple of their own guys back. I think a tight end or two, and
right. Oh, I know a linebacker, right outside linebacker, they did as well.
That's it. What are they doing? They have a new coach in.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. It's like way to put him in a very uncomfortable situation right off the start.
Yeah, it was funny. On my way home from work tonight, I had the radio on and I caught a little bit of the Cincinnati, one of the Cincinnati sports talk guys talking, and he was comparing the Browns' new coach and the weapons he's getting to the Bengals' new coach and what he is not getting, and just the envy and the guy's voice as he's talking about it, it was something else. So I don't listen to a lot of Bengals sports talk, but it's kind of fun when they're looking up to the Browns.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, Rod, I know we've got a ton of Twitter questions to be answered. Do you have those in front so we can start getting those taken care of?
I do. Yes. All right. Let's start out with first question, and this is from it's from PG, and it's at, I'm going to spell this out, Mahloadeez.
Okay.
Melodies.
All right.
Any ideas on who will back up Baker now that Tyrod is gone?
That's a great question. Tyrod ended up signing with the Chargers this afternoon. I haven't really heard much about Drew Stanton at all. I know the name Blake Bortles has surfaced among probably just Cleveland Nation, Browns Twitter. I don't want Blake Bortles, period. I don't. That just makes me want to vomit, honestly.
It's my understanding that Drew Stanton's supposed to be back, and they've talked about him being the backup. Now, I don't know if that's just talk until they kind of see what's out there. I could see him potentially, if they think there's a developmental guy in the draft, taking him somewhere down. I mean, Dorsey's pretty darn good at picking quarterbacks. So if there's a guy that they think is developmental, I could see him taking somebody and trying to roll with Stanton for a year, even though that scares me when you have a win now attitude. So I really don't know. I think the other guy, and I don't think he's signed anywhere yet, is Ryan Fitzpatrick. His name's come up as a potential backup. I don't know if there's any talk, but I think that's somebody who fans have talked about.
Okay.
So for me, I'd like to see a vet come in. I don't think I'd have a lot of faith with Drew Stanton, but I don't know. When you have this offense, if you can throw the football, you might do okay.
Definitely. All right. Well, thanks for that question. What do we got next?
We have a question from at Fatboy Kill Buck.
Fatboy Kill Buck.
All right. And I have not read these yet, so these are coming to you completely unfiltered.
Okay.
OBJ is going to want to restructure his contract. Do you think he'll be a distraction before kickoff in September, or do you think Browns will give him what he wants? He's going to want more than AB. Could bust a lot of bubbles in Cleveland.
Thanks, Fat Boy, for the question. I don't think going back to what I was saying with his, relationship with Jarvis, and then this being a new start for him. I don't think he's going to be a distraction. I think that AB kind of set the market. That's just what it is. And then, Tyreek Hill's set for a new deal. Julio Jones set for a new deal. And then, you've got Mike Thomas down in New Orleans to have to worry about. So this is just the trend that's happening. I know that OBJ, from what I hear, is wanting somewhat of the same kind of deal where there's not added years to the contract, but just an increase in money. So, AB's getting 18 a year. I have a feeling that we're going to be paying OBJ over 19 a year for his, services. So do I see it being a distraction, or do I see it just as being a trend in what's to come with wide receivers in the market? That's what it is. It's just going to happen. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think the Browns knew this was coming when they made the trade. So for them to balk at getting him this new deal, to at getting it done, it would be silly. They knew what the numbers were for AB, so I think they'll get it done, and I think everybody will be happy, and I think everybody's going to be ready to play some football.
Gotcha.
All right, we're going to move on to the aforementioned David Schmidt.
Okay.
That's a DAS Slappy 77.
Okay.
Why do my fellow Browns fans have to jump straight to the insults when someone has a take that they don't agree with?
It's because we're all humans and we all have our own opinions and we always think that we're right. I think that's a pretty easy question to answer.
That's kind of the nature of Twitter. I'm going to say not everybody's like that, though. I think there's a lot of different personalities on Twitter, just like there are in life. I'm going to stand up for a lot of my followers, and a lot of people there's a lot of really good people on Twitter to go along with the people who are ready to bust on you right away, which is just, again, the nature of the animal. So it's just part of it, and you can't really let it bother you that much.
Yeah. I think it's just the nature of the beast. There's always going to be those couple people that want to start something. So everybody's hiding behind a picture and a keyboard anyway. So it is what it is.
Okay, we've got more of a statement. I'll see what your comment is on this, Sam. I guess we'll just go with a shout out kind of here. Okay. Shout out to Cheeseburger. That's at Eric_Polinsky. And his statement is fucking A. That's all. Any words of wisdom for Cheeseburger?
No Cheeseburger, but thanks for the comment.
Yes. All right, we're going to move on to Brian. That's at 216 Brian.
Okay.
What do you think is an option, or I'm sorry, who do you think is an option to replace Jabril Peppers at strong safety?
Oh, question of the day for me. Yeah. I don't know. Clinton Dix is still out there. Obviously Earl Thomas is off the board. Eric Berry is now available.
Yeah,
I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't think that we really want to pay either one of those guys. First, Clinton Dix had a really successful rookie year coming out of Alabama to Green Bay, and then they just traded him. And then, him going to the Redskins, and I think it also kind of shows what they thought of him because they traded within the division to the Redskins. So obviously he wasn't that much of a threat. I don't think he had a terrible year as a member of the Redskins, but it wasn't spectacular. So I mean, he's just somebody that's available. I think that they'll probably like we were talking about, Kindred is our guy. So as of right now. What else happens, I'm not really sure. So I don't really know if we want to spend the money at this point. I think we could put our money elsewhere. We need to really focus on re-signing and extending Demarius Randall's contract. So
definitely,
that's more of my bigger concern at this point. So
yeah, I agree. And there's several draft picks. They may find somebody they like in the draft if they don't end up with anybody through free agency.
Gotcha.
All right, this is going to kind of wind up being a shout out here too. This is to Maximum Effort. That's at Romper Stomper. I'm going to go with 0, but it might be an O. And his question was related to Earl Thomas and why he wasn't a possibility. And unfortunately, he's already been signed. So at this point, but we do thank you for the question. So we're going to move on to the Hound of Bakersville, who is a big interactor of mine. I appreciate that. And his question is, okay, would you prefer they draft a linebacker or strong safety? If they sign one or both in free agency, who would you want?
We've kind of touched on this already. Thanks for the question. I would like to draft Devin White. I know that to me, he is just the perfect pick and perfect fit for us. But there's no way he's going to be available in the second round. So that was with the intention that we had the 17th overall pick, but we don't have that anymore. I feel like there might be a guy in the second round with those that guy out of Michigan. Is it Rashawn Gary?
Yeah, he's more defensive end.
Devin Bush. Sorry,
Devin Bush, who you're talking about. Yeah, I mean he could slip. I really don't know exactly where people have him slotted now. He's one of those guys kind of jumps around the boards, I think, but I think most people probably have him as the number 2 linebacker. I could be wrong, but so he's probably anywhere from 15 to 25 or 30, maybe. I'm not sure, but I did do a little bit of playing around with the value charts today because I don't think we got a question on it. Let me see. Yeah, we didn't get a question on it, but people had mentioned about the Browns possibly moving back up into the first round.
Huh.
So I did a little bit of calculating just to kind of see what it would take.
Yeah.
And if the Browns took their let's see, their top 4 picks, so that would be their picks in rounds 2, 3, 4, and their top pick in the 5th round. That would, according to the charts, anyways, that would get them up to the 26th pick. So that just gives you an idea. If they took their entire draft, they might get up to the 23rd or 22nd pick. That's about as high as it's going.
Not something that I would personally want to do. So
right. So in reality, they may move up a bit in the 2nd round by using the 4th or some of the 5ths, but I wouldn't look for them to take a gigantic jump over that 49 spot.
Right. Well, and yeah, to quickly directly answer the question, I think that we just take care of it in the draft. As free agency, I don't know about we've got some other priorities that we need to take care of. Demarius Randall's contract, restructuring OBJ, and who knows, John Dorsey might be trying to re-sign some other guys. I know that my boy John's going to sign Gostkowski, so we got to make sure that we've got money for that. So free in the draft. We still have a number of picks to get better, and those are younger guys who are going to be on rookie deals. So I definitely think that's the way to go.
I think so. I've got 2 more quick comments here. One comes from @DeuceDynamite. Okay. And his comment is, NFL, you're on notice. Cleveland is coming for that ass.
Coming for that ass. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Deuce.
Thanks a lot.
And then we got one from Hopeful Browns fan. That's @Billy_HREHA. And it says, Zach Brown, ? Can you help me out with that, Sam?
I don't know exactly what he is referring to.
Is that the Zach Brown from music, or is there a player Zach Brown? I don't know. But I wanted to give him a shout out. He took the time to send that to us. So
definitely,
so that rounds out our questions.
Definitely. Well, the new league year has begun. It started today at 4:00 Eastern time. Football's back, everybody, and there is no better time than to be a Cleveland Browns fan. Rod, I think you would agree, and I'm just looking forward to get started. So I'm like Deuce says, the NFL needs to be on notice, and Cleveland's coming. So what a great another great signing and deal done by John Dorsey, and looking forward to seeing Freddie Kitchens. I mean, what a position for Freddie Kitchens to be in his first year of coaching,
Yeah, it's amazing. Just amazing.
Unbelievable. I was looking today real quickly at the number of players that we have under the age of 27, and they are just key offensive weapons that are like in 23 years old. I think the oldest is 27, but it's just unbelievable. So we have a lot of good ahead of us in the future for the next couple of seasons, I would hope. But guys, thank you very much for listening. Sorry that it's a day late, but we had quite an event yesterday evening that I don't think anybody would complain about moving forward. So this has been Sam Maddie and Rod Bloom with the Brown Blitz podcast. We will be here next week with a special guest. We will let you all know that this upcoming weekend. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of the week.